learn about this. So thanks so much. Just a little bit about myself. My name is Brad Lindaas, and I'm currently an iMBA student and looking forward to graduating in 2017. So I'm on the track to take 2 courses all the way through, and we'll see until something gives. I work at an education company called ACT, sort of best known for the ACT assessment that high school kids take as they prepare to go to college. It's one of the 2 tests that are required by selected universities. I've been working there for a couple years as vice president of strategy. And a little bit more, I'm a father of 3. I have 2 middle school boys, and I have 1 adult stepdaughter who's given my wife and I 1 granddaughter. So that's a little bit about my family. So what are we doing here? In this session, the goal is to just share with you some of the ways that I've used a couple tools to keep things on track with the iMBA, maybe try to keep my sanity in check to see whatever's left of that. And I hope that you'll get something out of this session, and thank you again for attending.
Let's start with the one that maintains our sanity, okay, Brad?
Yeah, thanks, Al. We'll see. You keep checking. Keep watching live sessions for me. All right, so some background, I guess. I think I'm fairly similar to everyone on this Zoom right now. I'm very busy. I have a job. I have a family, as I just described to you. I have friends, and I'm going to school. So the order of importance shifts a lot and has shifted a lot because of this program. And, you know, I think we've got a mix of people who are in the program and people who are new to the program. So those that are new, you know that that there are a ton of activities. And I just jotted down some things just to share. And those activities require a lot of coordination. So we have to coordinate with teammates, so the team, and there are team assignments. We have to coordinate calendars with our families and with teammates. There's a lot of coordination that goes on between Coursera and the Compass platform, so you're getting learning activities in different ways. Different classes have different requirements. Some classes do a lot of writing. Some of them, it's more group work and less individual assignments. Some of them have maybe 5 or 6 deliverables each week. And sometimes those deliverables change. Let's see, Al and others that are in the program know that we just switched in our strategy course to very different requirements with live case studies, whereas before we were doing more like memos and video creation. So there's a lot of things that are going on in the program. And so we get some tools that help us manage that. So, of course, we all have email and calendars. Compass has its own calendar. Compass and Coursera send us reminders. We use tools like Zoom, like right now, to engage with professors and with classmates. So there's a lot of things that are there. But to be honest, there are some tools missing, I think. And that's what this session is about. There are 2 tools in particular that I've found have been really helpful in managing some of the challenges that I just outlined. Trello is the first one that we'll talk about. Trello is used, for me, I describe it as how do I manage my internal commitments, the things that I need to do to keep up with the busy work and school and family balance. And that's what I find that it's essentially my anchor that keeps me going every week, and I'll show you how I use it, and it might help. The second one is Slack, and that helps manage my external commitments, the commitments that I make to team members as part of this program. And so with that, I think I'll kick off and start to show some things. Again, for those that are just joining, this is my first time facilitating one of these sessions. So as I switch back and forth with screen sharing, just give me a little bit of patience. And let me stop and say, how are we doing? Everyone can hear? Everything's okay? Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. I really appreciate that feedback. I don't have my text box open, and I don't know that I have the skill to talk and read texts. So if you need me, just do this because I can see. All right. Okay, so Trello. That'll be the first thing that we look at. So what is the need that might require you to consider a tool like Trello. Okay, so there's a lot of moving parts in this program. That's for me what made this. It's too much for me to keep it in my head. Probably too much for others too, I hope. These activities come to us from all sorts of different angles. We get things from Coursera, we get things from the professor, we get things from TAs. Sometimes we get activities maybe from the program. So things are coming and going, and that's just school, not alone, other things that come. For me, in many ways, the iMBA program is like continuously pushing a boulder up a hill. So in fact, it's probably like 3 or 4 boulders. We're in 2 courses, and each of them have different projects that are due. Thanks, I see. All right, good. Some people are saying, yep, that's me too. So and it's kind of like Sisyphus, always pushing, the boulder up the hill, and every week the boulders come back down to the bottom again. So you have to do the videos, and you have to do a live, case study, or you have to do an essay, and then you have to do peer reviews, and you have to do some readings, and there's individual homeworks, and you do that all by, midnight on Tuesday, and you have to start over. And so that was really quite overwhelming for me in January. So I knew right away that I needed something to manage, essentially task management. All right, so let me tell you about Trello. So Trello is a flexible online system, and I'm going to share my screen while I'm talking about this. All right, go to Trello. Okay, can people see that yet? All right, can you guys see Trello?
Yep.
All right, good, thank you. All right, so what is Trello? Trello is this flexible board system, and it really doesn't have a ton of structure, which is one of its benefits, and to be honest, it's kind of one of its drawbacks. And it took me a while to get used to Trello. It's free, so it's one of those freemium type products where you get to use it as a kind of an end user like myself for free for apparently forever. And then if you use some of its advanced features, then you have to pay some amount of money. And it really allows for individual and team collaboration. So how do you use it? Well, there are boards, and inside of boards, there are lists and there are cards. And that's essentially it. It's basically a series of buckets that you can put information in. So let me contextualize that a little bit. These individual boxes are boards, and I organize them as like large projects. So for example, let me show you, I wrote this down. Okay, so I have one called Today, which is, just pretty generic. And you'll see this is sort of my, look at that, I'm done. I'm done with Plan the Zoom session, so I'm gonna kind of move that. And what you saw there just now is essentially the way I use Trello. It's a program of organization called Kanban, which is sort of like a Japanese production system that creates cards of to-do lists, and I have them for lots of different things. I have a team. This is sort of my team at ACT, some of the projects that we're working on, and you can see all of them have this kind of value chain production back and forth. And so I'll go back to Today. This is orange is kind of work. That's my work color. That's how I organize that. And so I'm always moving things from things that I'm waiting to do, and then maybe moving them into doing. If I decide I don't want to do these scan school pictures, I move them back and forth. So that's the method, and the method that management that I found worked best for the Illinois iMBA was this Kanban piece. So here's the way I've organized things in Trello for the MBA. Things that I can't quite do yet, like upload videos to Google Drive. I don't do that until the end of the course. After every course, I update a little personal bibliography of readings that I thought were really helpful. I'm going to create a summary document for myself for stats at the end of this course, so I can't do those yet. But there's this list of all the things that I can do. Now for me, I find that throughout the week, I might have like 30 minutes to work on school. All of a sudden, my schedule clears up, and it's like, wow, I can do something. I want to know what is the next thing that I should do. And so that's what I keep in my to-do list. And then, of course, there's doing. Oh, look at this. I actually did this right before our session. I read a case study that we have in a little bit. So I just move it to done. I'm always moving things from left to right. We're in this session right now, and then tonight I'm on a live case study activity with about 50 or 60 of our classmates that are on there tonight. So once I'm done with that, I'm always moving things forward. You can see in the done column, we're in week 5, and so every single week there's all these boulders to push up the hill, and I keep pumping them into done. For me, it's nice because it gives me a sense of accomplishment. I see the done pile starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and each week, at the end of the week, I pile these back in. For me, that's been not only effective at managing the constant workflow of the program, but it's been necessary. I don't know that I could manage this. Now, Trello is one of many different task management systems out there. I know some people might want to use Asana. Asana is also a free task management tool, but it's more like, scheduling and Gantt charts, and that might be if you're running a small production team and you have to do a lot of assignments. The last thing I'll talk about with Trello before I maybe open it up just for a little Q&A is talk about, this is just me. All these are just my own tasks for the MBA item. The one I showed you briefly here is a team that I have at work. And so we have different projects as well. We have it organized slightly different with our wish list, what's on deck to work on, what's in process. And you can see that these get assigned to different people. That little Yoda guy, that's my principal enterprise architect. And this is my chief strategist, Jeff Neschheim. And so some of these things are assigned to different people, and we can send each other, little notes. Like we can put what's the goal of this project, what's been going on, little activity logs about this. So it works fairly well at managing team collaboration too. Now, I don't use the team collaboration in the iMBA program. Our team doesn't have this much need for coordination. And I'll tell you how we coordinate our activity in just a minute. So I'm going to stop sharing so I can see everybody. And just, are there any questions about Trello? Does anyone else use it? Could you share tips that you might have on Trello, or any questions about it? It's a free program, and you can just go online and sign up.
Is it just a web interface, or is there an app as well?
Yeah, there's an app. So there's a really good iPhone app, Android app. It works on iPad. They have a Windows application too. I found that Windows app was kind of buggy, so I don't use that one. But yeah, it's one of the reasons I picked Trello, because it works on all my devices. I can just access it wherever I am. It's a great question. I should have mentioned that. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay, any other questions?
It looks like there was one that came through on the chat.
Oh, okay. And I see Kara is raising her hand. Oh, okay. So her mic's not working. I get it. Okay. How long do you think it takes you each week to add your? Okay. Oh, so the question is, when I populate things, it takes maybe 5 minutes. In Compass, it has a really nice agenda that outlines every specific deliverable that you have to do, and so I use that list, and because as I mentioned, sometimes they're a little bit different. Some weeks you have to do like an essay, and maybe another week you have a team video. And so I spend usually like Tuesday after I'm done with everything. Wednesday morning I sit down and kind of like, okay, I'm done with this week's boulders. What's the next step? So it's a good question. Thanks. Any others?
Oh, on that, Brad, when you're looking at the syllabus for the class, and it's kind of outlining all the different things you have to do for maybe that first 4 weeks or whatever the case may be, or even the entire course, do you put that all into your card on Trello, or do you put like what's due for the week, and then after the end of each week you update for that week? How do you do that?
I just do it 1 week at a time. My team and I'll when we get into Slack, I'll introduce you to some of my teammates. At least you'll see their avatars. We work ahead on the team projects because those typically have a higher level of effort and they require more coordination with other people. So what we do is we have a Google document. We share the dates of the team assignments, and then we identify a team leader for each assignment. And there's usually, between the two courses, there's 5 or 6 team projects. So normally, and our teams are about 5 or 6 people. Ours happens to be 6. So we normally just assign one person to be a team lead, and they do some of the heavy lifting and the coordination and the bundling up of individual efforts. So that's kind of a different piece. For me, I look at the activities 1 week. There's only 1 week of videos. You got to get through week 2 before you get to week 3. Good question. Okay. All right. Well, great.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Not really about Trello, but just curious. I'm starting officially in the fall, but I did start taking one class this summer.
Welcome.
How are you finding managing 2 courses at a time? I mean, I'm the same way. I have a small child, work, Is it a lot, or do you think it's pretty manageable, or do you just want to get it done? Is it?
It's, I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of work. It's, it's 20, 25 hours a week for 2 courses. And in a week like this, when we switched professors and this new professor has a different set of expectations, I find myself shifting gears a lot. I have a support system here. My wife and my ex-wife are incredibly supportive. I couldn't do it without their support. So if you have a good support system, you can pull it off. But yeah, it's a lot of work. I want to be done in 2 years. This will be my 3rd master's degree, and I'm 45 years old. I want this to be the capstone, and I'm very happy that it's a rigorous program. That's good for us as future alumni of this program, but it's a lot of work. They don't pull punches, the professors.
Good. Well, thanks. I just was curious to pick your brain on that.
Yeah. Good. Thanks. Okay. I'm ready to move on to Slack. And so let me talk a little bit again about, well, what's the need? Why would you even care to use something like Slack? All right. This is about coordinating activities with other people. So Trello helps me coordinate my own internal chaos. Slack helps coordinate the chaos of a team. You'll be assigned to a group. Unless you already are, I know that Joe and I see Al and others already are in these groups. Sometimes the groups change a little bit, but they tend to be consistent throughout a specialization, which is like a sequence of 3 or 4 major courses. And there's a lot of team projects, and so there's a lot of scheduling coordination. There's a lot of deliverable coordination. People have to, edit a document, hand it off to someone else, and there's just a lot of chatter that goes on about that. Collaboration tools in Compass. I'm sorry, I see there's at least one person from the program on. Compass coordination and collaboration tools suck. They're like totally not, modern at all. Slack is one of those kind of Web 3.0 brand new products that's designed to actually be useful rather than, I don't know what the design goal of the Compass collaboration tools were. So let me show you this. This is, all right, I'll go here, email. So our team started by doing collaboration on projects in email. And so I will show you that disaster. Okay, can you guys see my inbox? Yes, no, yes, can you see? Okay, good. All right, so if I was working on a project with Team, I'm on Team Campbell, best team out there, and I wanted to find out, oh man, what's going on? What's the latest on like our econ project or something? I would think to myself, who has this project? Well, maybe Meredith, who's on my team. Meredith, by the way, the producer of a movie called Now You See Me Too, still in theaters. Plug, go see it. It's an awesome movie. And so I would look there, and this is what I see. I use Gmail, so this is what I see. Holy cow. Well, here's our recap of the plan for econ. You already see there's 42 messages in this email chain. If I look at this, I go in here and I click through. I have to find out, okay, where is the most recent version of the document? You can see that there are multiple documents in this email thread. Dennis, who's one of my team members, also has another email address that sometimes he uses. So he's sometimes office manager. He's sometimes Dennis Huffman. So it's just, we found that email was totally ineffective for managing group collaboration on a project. So things would get lost. People say, I didn't see that email. Yeah, enough said. You kind of understand it. So in comes Slack, which is a product that helps people collaborate, especially teams that are dispersed around the country, around the globe, around different time zones, people that might never see each other face to face. All right, so It's, let me show it to you. It's probably the easiest way to show. All right, I'm going to share Slack. Okay, everybody see Slack? Okay, so a couple things about Slack. Prior question about is this web only, is this mobile? Yes, it's on Android, it's on iPhone. This is, what you're seeing is the Windows version of Slack. Slack has its fundamental unit of management is a team. So you create teams that want to get stuff done. You can see I'm a member of several different teams. This is my Campbell Hall. This was the team that I was assigned to by the MBA program. This group here, this is Delta House. This is a group of people that we just got together. We're all in the program, but we're not in a team per se. So this one here is one that was created as potentially a way for us, to leverage across the whole program. We'll see if this gets any traction, but I know that it was just created today as a test ground. So I'm going to focus on showing you Slack through the lens of my assigned team, Campbell Hall. So think about it in terms of multi-channel instant messaging, except it's not text messaging, it's persistent and searchable and, kind of awesome. That's the best way to talk about Slack is that it's awesome. So what we did is we created channels for each of our classes. So we've got a strategy class and we've got a statistics class right now. It's a way to organize discussion threads and go back and forth. There are other things like random. You can see this team doesn't use random all that much. Random is just for like silly things if we're going to taunt each other about our undergraduate alma mater or something like that. But you can see, I'll show you an example of, I'm going to scroll backwards through this thread. This was us working on our group statistics project. We had an online Zoom session like this, but people had other questions. How did you get this for the 95% confidence level? There's me sharing the formula that we used for it. And then there's questions. How do you do this? Zifai came back with some really interesting, he shared pictures, and you can kind of zoom in and take a look at how you calculate, this looks like the norm.inverse function to find out the probability of a particular z-score, and gave me some examples here. So you go through this, and it's really a good way to keep everything organized, and it's searchable, and you can do lots of different things. So let me show you a couple other things. I'm going to scroll back down to the bottom. This, by the way, if you're not in the program, this is kind of your goalpost. This means you submitted your assignment. And there's this really weird thing, by the way. Sometimes you have to see it say start new before it's really submitted. So there's kind of a pro tip there for people starting the program. And you'll know it's submitted when it says start new. So we submitted it. We give each other some kind of emojis there, like giving each other a thumbs up. I can say, yay, that was awesome. So there's some of that interaction. And you can send messages to each other too. Like I can say, by the way, we got our grade. Go on Compass to check it out. Feedback is included. All right, so we got our grade on this assignment just a little bit ago. In addition, you can create private chats. So Dennis and I were working on this homework. We took the lead on this one, and so we were back and forth. If I send this message to Dennis, and I can see, by the way, that he's online because it's green, it's kind of like an indicator, he and I can chat back and forth, and I gave him a heads up that I was going to do this. We'll see if he gets back, but it looks like not, otherwise it would say Dennis is typing. Some interesting things also that make this really, really handy is you can see some of these things up here, like here, this message right here. I said at Dizify, that's his username. Hey, thanks for that. It's basically have a way to call people out, and it tags that message, like Meredith, hope your trip to Italy is going well. And so that will make sure, that it, we're at our meeting ends in 10 minutes. Stay with free. Okay, so this is just a way to have sort of massive collaboration with group members, but keep things organized to a certain extent. All right, I want to make sure I showed you guys everything. You can have
Brad,
notes.
if you're not aware, Brad, it will end after 30 minutes on the free version.
Yeah, 40. So it's 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Now I have a countdown timer. We have 9 minutes and 30 seconds. So this is probably a good time for me to pause and elicit feedback from the group. This, by the way, our team now almost never sends emails to each other. So we communicate a ton. I mean, you can see, especially like on things like this was, how do we pick what night we have a meeting? I mean, those were just crazy emails. They were terrible. You could never figure out. You put it all in a channel here, it makes it easy. Collaboration on homework was fairly easy. Strategy, we were doing some of that stuff. Posting, here's another group submission, and you see a lot of that. So let me open up to the group right now, and I'm going to stop sharing so I can see everybody. Okay, good.
Brad, any audio inside Slack, or is it all just typing?
Yeah, it is typing. You can upload documents. That's actually, let me go back and show that, because I think that's an important part of the tools here. With stats, I'm going to scroll up. All right. Once we created the document for our homework, and we do our document creation in Google Docs, you can upload the document. If I click in it, it automatically logs me into Google Docs and brings it in. So it does some kind of integration with different products. But no audio. That's what we use Zoom for that.
Brad, I noticed on the Slack website that you put your email address and you create a team, and then you can start inviting people to it.
Yeah.
Who does that? I mean, does someone just decide they're going to organize it, and then now that group has it forever? Or, like who's like, what if we all create our own groups?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so someone's going to have to be an organizer. And for my teams, that was me, because I was, I took ownership because I was frustrated with email. And I had used Slack in a different graduate program I was in, and I thought it was helpful. It wasn't anywhere near as helpful as it is with this program. The amount of team collaboration makes Slack kind of almost a requirement. Now, I think that there's a certain amount of art in how big you make your Slack team. There was an attempt earlier to create an iMBA-wide Slack team, but and I joined it because I wanted to participate, but it wasn't as actionable because we don't have a lot of opportunity to directly collaborate with all 180 of us. We have opportunities to collaborate with 6 or 7 of us, and so that's why we created one for our assigned team, and then I created a little study group of people that to be honest had reached out to me, and we were texting each other and and supporting each other, working adults with families that were trying to make sense of the insanity. And so we just formed our own little group. Those types of synergy areas, I think, are really good for Slack. So, if you are assigned to a team, Greg, when you join the program, you might want to ask what type of collaboration tools they use. If they're just using email, you might want to suggest, hey, let's give Slack a try. If you get put into a whole new, they might switch teams again. I think every specialization they might switch teams. It might be one of the first meetings that you might have is say, hey, how are we going to collaborate offline? Obviously Slack is designed to be asynchronous. You don't have to be all working at the same time. Zoom sessions like this are good. Synchronous discussion is part of creating relationships. But I found that we actually collaborate more with the Slack app because it doesn't force us all to try to find that one special half hour of time when everybody happens to be available.
So with Slack, whenever you're liking someone's comments or tagging them in one of the comments with the @ symbol, do they get any sort of like notification or anything, or do they just see it as they're scrolling through?
Yeah. So let me see if Dennis got back. Yeah, Dennis hasn't pinged back, but yes, you do. You do on my phone. It'll make a little. And then, I get it in I use a tablet, a Surface Pro. I get a little notification in my notification bar. So that does help.
Brad, just to add, Slack has integrations with virtually every other tool out there. So all your group members could be using different tools, but you could use Slack as the common link across all your task management platforms, and it'll still work.
Yeah, that's a good point around integration. It's part of that new web of apps that expose their API out pretty aggressively. This one here is interesting. This is one I created for my strategy group at ACT. Its only function is an integration point between Trello. So this is the Trello logo. So anytime any of my team members make a change to a project that I shared with them, it just sends a little Slack note. So it's kind of like a, now you can see my team doesn't really use this all that much because these are very old. But so yeah, that integration is a big selling feature of that too, especially if you're a techie. If you have the desire to integrate this to apps, it's pretty. And for me, the one I use most is Google Documents integration. That is very, very helpful. Great. Other questions or comments or other pro tips like that last pro tip? That was awesome.
One thing that I like about Slack is the pinned items, how you can pin certain items. So anything like a document or something that's important to the group that you would have to reference several times, you can pin it and easily access it. That's something that I like about.
All right, good. Let me just share. I've not used that. So maybe can you describe to me how I might pin something?
So go to that document, that Campbell's stat.
Yeah.
Document.
Yep. I see it here.
So click those little three dots and then pin the stats and then say, yes, pin this file.
Can I unpin it before
yes,
I do this?
You can unpin it after you're done. So then when you go to the top of the stats where like the little, what is that called? Like a settings button where the stats is.
Yeah.
Right. And then you can, oh no, I'm sorry. It's the icon next to the settings.
This one?
And then one pin, you see the pin items.
Excellent.
And so you can easily access it.
Oh, cool. How do I get, right there. All right, cool. Excellent pro tip. Thank you. Class participation points right there.
So, Brad, what would be a good program level initiative to try Slack? I mean, where should we stop?
Well, I think one thing, off the top of my head, if there was a Slack channel that we could subscribe to that might have some of the updates that come out of Compass. So each of our courses, I think, can publish updates, and we sometimes get them sent to us in email. Email, it's too easy for things to get lost. If there was just a running ticker tape of updates in Slack, I think probably would be a good idea. I don't know how to accomplish that, but if there are technical folks that could think that one through, then I would just add that as another channel I subscribe to on Slack.
But then we would still need one program level Slack team that everybody is a member of.
Yeah.
And is that all you would need, or do we need to start? Well, at the program level, you could have a few channels that address some other stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we are close to closing, so we can continue later, but I'll let you close.
Good. All right. Any last questions or comments? We do have 1 minute left before this shuts down. All right, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for giving me your time tonight. I appreciate it and look forward to seeing some of the new people in live sessions coming in the fall. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks.
Thanks, Brad.